some of you guys may not know this. I went to Israel last November. Okay, so we spent 10 days in Israel. It was amazing. And I was actually planning to take a private group to Israel of different artists and influencers with me for next year, right before all this happened. Okay, so I got a lot. Again, some of you guys may not know this. I went to Israel last November. Okay, so we spent 10 days in Israel. It was amazing. And I was actually planning to take a private group to Israel of different artists and influencers with me for next year, right before all this happened. Okay, so I got a lot of folks on the ground, and I was fortunate enough to go in and really hear both perspectives from Palestinian refugees that were very anti-Hamas and anti-Palestinian Authority because of how much money gets sent into Palestine by the, I don't know, not the brain rot, not in my backyard, liberal, leftist paradigm, right? The squad types, how much money gets sent into there that gets completely squandered and never goes to the Palestinian refugees, right? And so we heard from some of those Palestinian refugees. We sat with multiple pastors, multiple Palestinian Christians, Palestinian pastors, and really got a robust picture of all of it. And it's a complicated situation. In that, I was fortunate enough to connect with an organization called Holy Land Missions. Okay, Holy Land Missions. They do some really cool stuff there, and they have a church in Bethlehem. Okay, multi-generation church in Bethlehem, and they the pastor was someone that I got to meet when I was there, and we got an update from him. So I'm gonna read you guys a text message. I think this also may add some more context to all of this. Okay, so I think this would be helpful. Okay, so this is from him. He says, I woke up this morning at 6:30 to the horrible reality of another dark day of terror and border attacks between Gaza's Hamas and Israel. To those that may not know the geographical layout, Gaza and the border is approximately 65 miles from Bethlehem and is approximately 70 miles from Jerusalem. Okay, in the past, the usual rockets mostly concentrated towards specific Israeli cities in the south, but today was different. So let me show you guys a map real quick before we go any further. Here is a map of Israel. Okay, the Gaza Strip, as you can see, is south. The Gaza Strip shares a border with Egypt. By the way, folks do not, Egypt and a lot of the Arab nations are not helping. Okay, they're not stepping up. Maybe they will, hopefully they will. Okay, and so this is Gaza right here. Okay, this is Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is broken up into 4 quarters. As you can see, Jerusalem, half of it is Israel, right? There's the capital, Tel Aviv. Half of it, if you go in closer, is the West Bank. Okay, it is shared across, and so it's kind of weird the way the lines are drawn. Again, this was drawn a long time ago. Okay, so as you can see, this is Israel right here, and there's like a border around it. Okay, and on this side, this is where Bethlehem and all of this is, right? You see Bethlehem right here. So I'm reading you guys a letter from a pastor in Bethlehem. Now remember, Bethlehem, this is where Jesus was born. Okay, and so West Bank and Gaza are not connected. Okay, there is Gaza. This is the West Bank. All right, so he said, to those that may not know, geographical layout, Gaza and the border is approximately 65 miles from Bethlehem and is approximately 70 miles from Jerusalem. In the past, the usual rockets mostly concentrated towards specific Israeli cities in the south, but today was different. I received a call from my brother to go check on his wife and their 2-year-old to see if they were okay. I asked him why. He said, a rocket hit only 20 meters from their apartment building. You might ask me, but Pastor, aren't you sometimes in the Arab areas? Why are Gaza rockets hitting into Arab neighborhoods? This is Palestinian Christian pastor saying this. The rockets are hitting the Arab neighborhoods. Many do mostly by miscalculations. After all, Israel is a very small country, and most everything is intertwined in some way. In fact, sirens were around us for a big part of the day. Schools were evacuated, while Sherry and I and our 5 children have already felt over 15 hits somewhere around us or hit in the air, causing the grounds and building to shake. This is a very strategic time for all people groups in Israel, Palestinian territories, and Gaza. There's much at stake now. Okay, there is a one-sided solution. There's never a one-sided solution, nor being it ever a one-side problem. This is very important. There's never a one-sided solution or ever being a one-sided problem. For example, the streets, neighborhoods, and communities on all 3 sides are way too small. The neighborhoods are very interwoven for attacks to simply affect only isolated areas and or affect only one side. Simply put, what happens on the Israeli side affects the Arab Israelis, the Arab Palestinians, and the rest of the land. The same goes for the other side on the Gaza end as well. Only the Lord God can interfere to heal and change the hearts of people in our land and region. Questions I've been receiving all day. Pastor, what should our response be? Okay, so listen up. What should our response be? As believers who love and stand with Israel, well, first, we refuse to be a generation that calls evil good and good evil. You do not have to love one to hate the other. There is enough room in the heart of the Father to love. Why shouldn't we, as believers, will things calm down? 100% yes, they will calm down. There's much at stake here, especially with all the peace talks that have happened specifically with Saudi Arabia, and the advances that have occurred in the recent months are way too big and important to allow what occurred this morning to stop. We are living in eschatological days, okay? So there's been huge breakthrough with Saudi Arabia, huge breakthrough after the Abraham Accords, okay? And this is what this pastor is getting at. Although for us that have the hope of Christ, these are anticipated days, as we see things unfold and happen, a great time to build. There is a group of Muslims I talked to that are tired of killing and violence and would much rather have peace and a new path ahead. Could this be a strong opportunity that now the nations will push for a final peace deal between Israel and the Palestinian people, especially now that Saudi Arabia and 5 other nations are already in strong discussions about a new peace plan with Israel? Yes, this Gaza-Israel war could be one that opens the door for several years of calmness, which could fit to an end timeline. Interesting. Here are practical ways you can stand with us at this time. Okay, here are practical ways. Pray. Our response as Christians should be: 1, how can I pray? 2, what are the prayer needs for the hurting Jewish side and the hurting Christians on the Arab side? 3, pray for God's grace, salvation, and healing for all the innocent children, the bystanders, those that want peace, those who are protecting and defending their families. 2, give. I am so grateful for those of you who give to our ministry thus far. We are planning family emergency care packets, which include the Gospels, Bible, discipleship materials, and more. Your gifts could not come at a more important time. Your prayers and giving can make a tangible difference in the lives of those affected by this crisis. Your contribution, no matter what size, can be a long way towards standing with us at this time. Okay, so they're working on providing care packages in the middle of all this. Okay, because this is going to go on further and further. So this organization, I told you guys who they are. They are in the West Bank. Okay, so they're in Palestine. Okay, and it's called Holy Land Missions. Okay, Holy Land Missions. Holy Land Missions. I'll drop the link in terms of if you guys want to give a donation, you can. So this is the pastor, Pastor Stephen. All right, and I had the privilege of meeting him. He's a Christian Arab pastor and author. He's the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Bethlehem and Calvary Church in Jerusalem. All right, and so the organization is called Holy Land Missions. We see, according to the Bible, that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. 1, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask him to move on my behalf. And 2, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when he answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used for my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think would be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. And here's the thing, with the hope to create a prayer movement, we've made the PDF version of this prayer journal completely free. So to get the PDF of our prayer journal completely for free, go to blessgodpdf.shop now.
Are you still wearing enough